So, will Ron Desantis run in the primary in 2024 for the Republican Party? So in this story, there may be a clue as to whether or not that's going to happen, although it is all just speculation. But, maybe it is a hint. I guess we'll have to find out. Now, Desantis has not said that he's going to run. And there's this from his gubernatorial debate with Christ.
You're running for governor. Why don't you look in the eyes of the people of the state of Florida and say to them, if you're reelected, you will serve a full 4-year term as governor? Yes or no?
The only worn-out old donkey I'm looking to put out to pasture is Charlie Crist. So
that's a great line. And on the face of it, that's a no. But it's not an actual no, is it? It has to be tempting, doesn't it? Because, when you look at the margin of victory in Florida in the last election, he won by 19.4%. That's a blowout. That's a massive blowout. And sure, Charlie Crist was maybe not the best candidate, but was Fetterman? They could have run a Zika baby. I'm not sure that would have mattered.
We did, I think, made some important points as well. True.
As well, true, indeed. And now it is important to note that with DeSantis's massive win in Florida, there were steps taken to ensure election integrity before the election, which you are not going to see on a federal scale. No way. So what did he do? Well, he passed a bill to strengthen Florida's election integrity. Said this legislation will strengthen election security measures by requiring voter rolls to be annually reviewed and updated, strengthening ID requirements, establishing the Office of Election Crimes and Security to investigate election law violations, and increasing penalties for violations of election laws. Additionally, it says, we have ended ballot harvesting, stopped drop boxes, and the mass mailing of ballots, and banned Zuckerbucks. Now, Tim Pool talks all the time about how ballot harvesting is really the key to everything. But also, too, the Democrats have just an inbuilt advantage in high-density populations like cities. It's just easier to do there. So not having, ballot harvesting, drop boxes, mass mailing of ballots, that makes a difference. And that's not something he's going to have the benefit of in a federal election. But that said, from a purely pragmatic position, he looks like a very strong candidate, doesn't he? That's, of course, if he got through the primaries and beat Trump, which would be very difficult. I don't know what the outcome would be, and I'm not going to make a guess. It says, Florida Governor Ron Desantis is reportedly gathering with some of his top donors this month as he plots out the course of his political future following his blowout victory in last month's midterm elections. The Washington Post reported that DeSantis sent out invitations to the governor's strongest supporters this week for an intimate dinner with DeSantis and his wife this weekend in Miami. The report said that the dinner was not explicitly about the upcoming 2024 presidential race, and that DeSantis was expected to thank those who contributed to his campaign and helped make his landslide 19-plus point victory possible. So the Washington Post reported that the dinner was not explicitly about the election. So is that a clue right there? Not explicitly, so that's not the main focus of it, but maybe they're talking about it. I don't know. It's from the Washington Post, so you can believe anything they say at your own peril, because everything that comes out of that organization these days seems to be politically motivated and manipulative in some way. So, giant grain of salt. Now, keep in mind that in American politics today, politicians have to be in perpetual fundraising mode. Basically, the campaigns never end. But it says here that the report said that DeSantis still has $70 million left in reserves if he launches a presidential bid, and that he was the Republican Party's most dominant fundraiser this last election cycle, bringing in nearly $250 million. The news comes as polls have shown DeSantis with a massive lead over former President Donald Trump in states across the country in a potential 2024 Republican presidential primary race. Now, they linked to a poll that shows DeSantis having a big lead over Trump in a presidential primary. But you got to keep in mind, this is a Florida poll. It's in Florida, where they like DeSantis a lot. So, 2024 Florida Republican primary poll. Ron DeSantis, 66, Donald Trump, 21. But again, this is in Florida. There's an Economist YouGov poll that found that Republican voters want DeSantis over Trump 46-39, and that independent voters want DeSantis over Trump 34 to 21%. And there's a poll here from a Democratic pollster, Stan Greenberg, that says if the 2024 election were held today, Governor Ron DeSantis would not only win the popular vote, he would give Republicans their best margin ever among Hispanics. So you would expect the Florida poll to favor DeSantis because he's very popular in Florida. But other polling does show DeSantis with an edge for sure, for what that's worth. I mean, I think we've learned that, to take polling with a grain of salt as well these days, as well as experts and fact checkers, right? Now, multiple GOP mega donors have indicated in recent weeks that they will either support DeSantis or will not support Trump in the upcoming presidential election. So I guess we come back to the point of, does this mean anything, this meeting with key donors after re-election blowout? Again, I mean, every politician in the States is in perpetual fundraising mode and certainly wants to maintain good relations with key donors. But there might be more to this, because it sounds like at least some of the mega donors are taking a very pragmatic approach to 2024. They see DeSantis as the favorite. Obviously, he's getting a lot of pressure to run. So he's got momentum, and he's going to have a big war chest if he decides to run. But look, I mean, there's going to be speculation about whether he's going to run, obviously, either until he just simply does, or until it becomes just blaringly obvious that he's not going to. Either way, it's interesting to watch. Anyway, please subscribe, like, and share. Sharing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.